I just bought acres of land. I'm building a foundation, a compound. I'm getting married. It's so much things that I've been working on behind the scenes with God. I'm just gonna allow Him to just bless it, sanctify it, and that's it. I'm out the way on purpose, bro.
Stop whatever you're doing, lock in, and brace your spirit, because what Chrisean Rock just unleashed on the internet makes every past scandal look like a Sunday school field trip. Forget blueface drama. Forget the baby daddy chaos. Forget the Zeus network beefs. This right here. This is biblical level madness, literally. Because according to Chrisean, her son, Little Junior, tiny toddler with a bottle and a onesie, is the new Jesus. Yes, you heard that correctly. Not a blessing, not an angel, not my miracle baby. She said Jesus, Savior of humanity, the Messiah, reborn. In Baltimore. And if that wasn't wild enough, she's talking about buying acres of land, building a foundation compound, living with her pastor, and surrounding herself with followers who understand her calling, baby. This ain't giving motherhood, it's giving season 1 of a cult documentary that Netflix buys for millions. The internet is combusting. Fans are screaming. Haters are confused. Blueface's mama is posting receipts like she's trying out for FBI recruitment. And Chrisean, she's online laughing, threatening people, quoting scripture, and collecting donations like she's about to open the Church of Rock Ministries. Whatever you thought you knew. Delete it. This story is about to leave your jaw on the floor. It all started with one random clip of Chrisean Rock talking like she had just stepped off Mount Sinai with a stone tablet. No drama with Blueface this time. No screaming match. No Zeus meltdown. She was sitting there calm, collected, sounding almost prophetic. And then she dropped the bomb that shook the whole internet into a collective seizure. She said her son, Little Chrisean Jr., is the new Jesus, not symbolic, not metaphorical, not my child is blessed. No, she said Jesus, Messiah 2.0, Savior reloaded, a baby who still drools on his shirt, now allegedly carrying the destiny of humanity. People were stunned. Blueface's fans looked like they needed CPR. Even the gossip pages had to reread the clip 5 times to make sure she actually said it. But Chrisean didn't stop there. She talked about buying acres of land for a compound, building a foundation with God, staying under her pastor's roof, and pulling away from the world like she was preparing for the rapture. And the way she said it, calm, peaceful, almost joyful. Like she was announcing a gender reveal, not a potential cult rollout. She said she's stepping back from chaos, choosing peace, choosing God, and letting Him sanctify everything she's planning. According to her, she's building a whole new lifestyle of purity and purpose. Except, somehow, purity and purpose came bundled with a P.O. box where she told her followers to send donations. That's when eyebrows lifted. Because if she's 7-figure rich like she claims, why was she asking the same broke, fancy clowns to send her help? The internet was ready to believe anything until she asked for donations. That's when everybody grabbed their calculators. What made everything even messier was her sudden relocation shift. She told people if they wanted to see her, they better pull up to Baltimore because that's where she feels safe, grounded, and divinely protected now. She said she's not rushing to LA unless it's for a bag, acting like Los Angeles was Sodom and she's not being told to leave without looking back. According to her, Baltimore is where she's building her real foundation, her sanctuary, her compound. She made it sound like she was assembling disciples rather than raising a toddler. Then she casually dropped the marriage bomb. She said she's laying out her future and she's getting married. And not to some industry legend, not to a pastor, not to someone established. No, she allegedly plans to marry her 19-year-old boyfriend. Top had 3K, the man who accidentally became a father figure overnight. The man who looks like he just left high school orientation. And shockingly, out of everyone in this situation, he's the one sounding the most sane. He was recently interviewed and actually sounded mature. He defended her, saying she never gives him shady energy. She doesn't act sneaky, and she's not who people make her out to be. He even took a shot at Blueface, calling it weird that Blue tried to pull her into Bloods versus Crips drama when she doesn't even know the basics of gang politics. He explained that people get caught in crossfires they don't understand and lose their lives because they try to play roles they're not built for. For a 19-year-old, he spoke with more sense than half the adults involved. And the internet gave him his flowers for at least trying to be stable. When the topic switched to the baby, he continued being the only reasonable person in the room. He said Chrisean called him asking if she should let Junior see Blueface, and he told her yes because no father deserves to be cut off. He didn't sound insecure or possessive. He just sounded like a man with common sense. He even exposed Blueface's lies, saying Blue only started claiming Chrisean was a bad mother because his views and followers were tanking and he needed a storyline to revive his digital career. He made it clear that what Blue did online was straight-up manipulation, but then the deeper layers of chaos resurfaced. Chrisean claimed Blue stomped her out in his kitchen, and that was her breaking point. She said she vowed Junior would never be around that again in Jesus' name. She talked about safety like she finally realized this isn't Zeus Network drama anymore. This is real life, and she refuses to show up to any co-parenting situation alone. She said she'd bring her brother or her boyfriend because she's done stepping into danger solo. But of course, Blueface's mother, Carlissa, jumped in like she was auditioning for the title of America's most dramatic mother-in-law. She denied everything. She said Blue never stopped Chrisean and blamed the whole altercation on the security guard, who was simply trying to restrain her. Carlissa claimed Blue was yelling for him not to hurt Chrisean. She accused Chrisean of stalking Blueface on his first day out, pulling up uninvited, touching her hair at the arcade, and ruining what she called a family bonding moment, according to her. Chrisean left Junior with no diapers, no car seat, no food, and drove away trying to chase Blue down. Then more receipts popped up. Carlissa said she offered to bring Junior to see Blue in prison, but Chrisean cussed her out with every insult in the dictionary just for asking. She claimed Chrisean only showed up for attention, clout, and camera time, and she promised to post proof of the disrespect. It became a mother versus mother circus, each woman saying the other lies more than the devil himself. Meanwhile, Chrisean doubled down on calling her son Jesus. She reminded people she was chosen. She had a calling, she had a mission from God. And while the internet laughed at the claims, some people began to worry because her language started shifting from emotional rants to spiritual proclamations. She talked about choosing followers, selecting who's allowed near her, blocking out evil energy, and cleansing her life. Her behavior started echoing the early stages of every cult documentary ever made. She even began threatening people in ways that didn't sound like normal celebrity beef. When Blueface mocked their child on his show, she snapped. Blueface joked that a contestant on his dating show looked like Junior, and Chrisean vowed she'd visit his tombstone one day. She said she wasn't going to harm him now, but she believed he'd die before her and her son. The intensity shocked people. Threats like that don't sound like anger, they sound like prophecy. She said Blueface mocks Junior because she loves the baby more than she ever loved him. She accused Blue of using jealousy as fuel to disrespect their child. And while some fans sympathized with her frustration, most people agreed she crossed a line by openly discussing his grave like it was part of a vision board. Her threats didn't stop there. She went after Bino when he said she wasn't a good mom, talking about knowing real bloods, threatening street retaliation, and making it clear she wasn't afraid to escalate. She did the same with her ex Ronnie, and then Ronnie ended up no longer alive. The internet immediately began connecting dots. Was she speaking metaphorically? Was she threatening? Was she mentally unraveling? Nobody had answers, but everyone had theories. Her new tone, her land purchase, her pastor talk, her divine language, everything started giving cult energy. People said she sounded like she was preparing followers for a cleansing ritual, not a housewarming party. The compound talk especially freaked fans out. Buying acres of land for a foundation community. That's the same vocabulary used by every spiritual leader who ends up on a documentary titled The Rise and Fall. as whispers about her possibly starting a cult spread, she didn't deny it. She simply told people to keep guessing, which only amplified the suspicion. And instead of clearing things up, she asked for donations while claiming she made 7 figures and didn't need anyone. The contradictions were so loud you could hear them from space. By the end of the week, fans didn't know if they should pray for her, fear her, or follow her. And the craziest part, this was only the beginning. The moment Chrisean's new Jesus proclamation hit the internet, the meltdown was instant. It didn't spread slowly. It didn't simmer. It exploded like someone launched a grenade into the timeline. Twitter turned into a digital riot. Instagram pages posted the clip 15 different ways. TikTok creators stitched the video with reactions that ranged from hysterical laughter to genuine fear. Almost overnight, Chrisean went from unpredictable celebrity to possible cult leader doing a soft launch. Every influencer and gossip page on Earth had something to S. Memes flew across timelines like digital shrapnel. People photoshopped baby Junior with halos, robes, and glowing light beams like he was starring in a religious movie. Others compared Chrisean's compound idea to the beginning of every cult documentary ever made. They joked she was 3 Instagram lives away from passing out Kool-Aid and collecting tithes in the comments. But behind the laughter was real concern, because her tone was different this time. It wasn't chaotic. It wasn't entertaining. It was oddly calm, and calm Chrisean scares people more than angry Chrisean ever could. Celebrities chimed in too. Some mocked her, some defended her, some said she needed help. Blueface, of course, turned the situation into his personal comedy tour. He couldn't resist taking jabs, reposting jokes, and adding petty captions because chaos is his love language. But his mother Carlissa took it even further, dropping rants like she was auditioning for Zeus News Network. She accused Chrisean of lying, manipulating, exaggerating, and being irresponsible, all while defending her son like he was a misunderstood angel instead of a man who publicly trolls his baby's appearance. The internet rehashed every past moment, every meltdown, every fight, every live stream, trying to decode how she went from athlete to reality star, to rapper, to full-blown prophet in training. Some said motherhood broke her. Some said Blueface drove her off the edge. Others said she'd always been like this. She just finally leaned into her villain origin story. And then there were people claiming she was spiritually awakened, guided by God, battling demons, and stepping into divine purpose. The theories multiplied faster than her deleted tweets. Her boyfriend Cash entered the chat again, this time unintentionally becoming the voice of reason in the saga. Clips of him talking calmly, explaining her behavior, and even disagreeing with Blueface made fans consider him the rational one. Which is hilarious because he's 19 and was probably supposed to be focused on going viral on SoundCloud, not doing damage control for a woman 30 scandals deep. Everyone expected him to break under pressure, but instead he doubled down on supporting her. He even addressed the cult rumors, saying people didn't know the truth, that everything she was doing was intentional, that she was aligning her life with God, and that the public only sees the chaos instead of the growth. And while some people praised him for being supportive, others were convinced he was being groomed into the first disciple of whatever religion Chrisean thinks she's building. Meanwhile, people started digging deeper into her compound story. The idea of buying acres of land didn't sound unusual at first. Celebrities do that all the time. But when Chrisean described it as a foundation compound, that's when alarms went off. Phrases like foundation compound don't sound like family living. They sound like matching robes, scheduled prayer circles, no outsiders allowed, and the sheriff keeps getting weird reports. That kind of vocabulary has a long history in American cult beginnings, and fans were quick to point it out. Then the donation address resurfaced. Screenshots spread everywhere of her telling fans to send help while simultaneously saying she made 7 figures, didn't need Zeus, didn't need Blueface, and didn't need anybody. People were confused. How can you be rich yet asking regular people for assistance? Why was she calling people broke while also requesting support? The contradictions had the internet spinning in circles. Amid the madness, the blueface situation intensified. Clips of him mocking Junior on his dating show went viral, with him saying one of the contestants looked like his baby. The comment was meant to be shade, but it came across more like weaponizing his own child for clout, and the internet gave him hell for it. Even people who dislike Chrisean were like, yeah, that was nasty. It was the moment that reignited her fury. She felt he had crossed a line, turning their son into a punchline. And instead of taking the high road, she went nuclear, she said. She looked forward to visiting his tombstone, that she believed he would die before her and her son. The internet collectively gasped, because who talks like that? That's not anger, that's spiritual warfare. Blueface fans said she was manifesting violence. Her defenders said she was speaking metaphorically. But the entire conversation shifted from petty drama to potential danger. It felt like they crossed a point where nothing would ever be normal again. Then Kane Bino's resurfaced rant about her being a bad mother. When he said she wasn't responsible, she fired back with threats about knowing real bloods, implying she had connections and could make problems disappear. Her tone didn't sound like empty threats. It sounded like someone ready to send a message. And people remembered that she said similar things about her ex Ronnie. Before he ended up gone, the internet didn't play with that. Comment sections filled with warnings, prayers, debates, and accusations. Some people swore she was unhinged, others believed she was spiritually battling demons. A few believed she was building a cult, and many believed she was simply traumatized and spiraling. But one thing was certain. Nobody thought this was normal. And then the donation controversy resurfaced. How can a woman claiming seven-figure wealth suddenly ask strangers for help? Why wasn't she putting Blueface on child support if she needed money? Fans theorized she wasn't filing legal paperwork because deep down she knows Blueface isn't the father. Others said she didn't want the state involved because Blue would use it against her. A few even joked that child support attorneys were terrified to call her. Her followers, though, defended her with spiritual zeal, saying she was being judged. Unfairly, she was misunderstood. She was following God's call. They reposted Bible verses. They shared clips of her praying. They created fan edits with angelic music and gold sparkles like she was a saint, not a woman threatening to visit her baby daddy's grave. Then the cult energy accusations intensified. People rewatched her talking about disciples, protection, being chosen, having a divine purpose, setting herself apart, and building a sanctuary. They pulled up old clips of her speaking in tongues, praying aggressively, and saying God talks to her directly. Suddenly, her rhetoric didn't sound random. It sounded intentional. Fans debated whether she was taking a religious path or a delusional one. Some believed trauma had turned her spiritual. Others said she was using religion to justify instability. A few believed she truly thought Junior was divine. And more than a handful joked she was preparing to hand out matching robes and rename her compound Chrisean Ministries International. Public reactions split into camps that argued nonstop. One side said she's mentally unraveling. One side said she's spiritually awakening. One side said she's building a cult. And one side said she's trolling the world for clout. But the truth? No one knew. Not the fans, not the critics. Not even the gossip pages. Chrisean wasn't giving answers. She was giving riddles. Every live stream she did invited new questions. Every rant made the situation murkier. Every spiritual proclamation dug the hole deeper. The saga was no longer simple drama. It was a psychological, spiritual, financial, and emotional hurricane wrapped inside one chaotic woman. And with every passing day, the situation got stranger, darker, and harder to ignore. As the conversation grew louder and the theories got darker, the consequences of Chrisean's actions finally started to reveal themselves. The internet wasn't just gossiping anymore. People were genuinely concerned, not just for her, Not just for Junior, but for anyone who might get caught in the crossfire of whatever spiritual empire she believed she was building. Every day felt like a new episode in a series none of us agreed to star in, but somehow couldn't stop watching. The most unsettling shift happened when her energy transitioned from ranting to preaching. It wasn't anger anymore. It wasn't shade. It was conviction. She spoke like someone who believed she had divine backing. She wasn't arguing with Blueface. She was rebuking him. She wasn't fighting critics. She was casting out negativity. She wasn't blocking trolls. She was protecting her spiritual space. The shift made people uncomfortable because she wasn't just reacting to drama. She was elevating herself into a spiritual role above it. Every post she made was layered with religious undertones. She talked about visions, divine timing, spiritual tests, and protecting her destiny. She said God told her to isolate, to move to Baltimore, to build her foundation, to set herself apart from evil forces. The more she spoke, the more some fans began comparing her journey to celebrities who spiraled into cult behavior, isolating themselves under the guise of divine purpose. And then there was the eerie calm. She wasn't yelling. She wasn't spiraling on livestream. She wasn't crying or screaming. She was peaceful, serene even, which terrified people more than her meltdowns ever did. The quiet before disaster is always the loudest warning. Meanwhile, her family grew concerned. They tried reaching out, but she insisted she was fine, that people were misjudging her, that she was simply walking in her calling. She dismissed anyone who questioned her as jealous, spiritually blind, or under demonic influence. When you start labeling criticism as demonic, that's when people start bookmarking your name for future documentaries. The Compound, top kept. Returning, and each time she explained it with more detail, not clarity, just detail. She wanted land for her community. A safe haven, a place untouched by outsiders. A space for God's people. Fans noticed she wasn't saying my family or my supporters. She was saying God's people, and depending on who you ask. That's either a beautiful revelation or a cult recruitment slogan. Every celebrity with a podcast started weighing in. Some clowned her. Others begged her to get help. But the most alarming reactions came from people who recognized the pattern. Those who grew up around cult behavior, spiritual manipulation, or religious extremism. They saw red flags everywhere. They said she was isolating, spiritualizing trauma, and weaponizing faith. They said she was losing stability and gaining delusion. They said she needed therapy, not acres of land. Meanwhile, Blueface added gasoline to the fire by continuing to mock her. Every joke he made carried consequences he either didn't understand or didn't care about. His comments about Junior weren't just hurtful, they were destabilizing. They triggered her spiritual rage. She framed his disrespect as an attack on her destiny. And once someone believes they have divine authority, disrespect hits differently. It becomes war. Her threats toward him grew more symbolic, but more intense. She didn't threaten violence, she prophesied downfall. She said she would outlive him, that God would deal with him, that she would stand at his grave one day. She said it with so much conviction that even Blueface fans paused and said, is everything okay at home? Moments like that made the internet question if this was trauma, mental health decline, spiritual delusion, or all three blending together like a dangerous cocktail. Yet despite everything, her supporters doubled down. They said she was chosen. They said she was misunderstood. They said people mocked Noah too and then begged for help when the flood came. The cult comparisons intensified because her followers sounded less like fans and more like disciples. But the biggest consequence of all came from inside the music industry. Producers, promoters, and brand investors began quietly distancing themselves. The chaos wasn't cute anymore. The drama wasn't profitable anymore. The instability wasn't entertaining anymore. She was becoming unpredictable in a way that scared corporations, and corporations do not gamble with liability. Some insiders claimed she was losing opportunities behind the scenes. They said companies were waiting for her to stabilize, They said people didn't want to book her if she was building a religious compound and calling her baby the Second Coming. Whether the claims were true or exaggerated, the fear alone was enough to push people back. Meanwhile, opponents continued dragging her name. The narrative became split. Either she was battling demons or becoming one. Either she was finding God or losing reality. Either she was building a future or burying her career. And her actions, unpredictable as ever, never leaned fully one way or the other. Then came the backlash from real religious communities. Christians were angry she compared her son to Jesus. Pastors called it blasphemy. Spiritual leaders said she was misguided. But Chrisean ignored them all, saying she had a personal relationship with God and didn't need the validation of man. She spoke with the confidence of someone who believed she had divine endorsements. Her boyfriend Cash tried again to soften the conversation, but even he couldn't control the narrative anymore. He supported her, but his calm explanations couldn't outweigh the intensity of her declarations. People began worrying for him too, claiming he was too young to recognize the signs. Others thought he was playing along for clout. But the truth was unclear, and that mystery only fueled the chaos. The situation escalated when old clips resurfaced of her, threatening multiple people, from exes to critics, with spiritual language mixed with violent undertones. Every threat now looked different under the cult lens. It wasn't just Chrisean being dramatic. It was Chrisean being prophetically hostile. And that scared people. Meanwhile, more viewers questioned why she refused to put Blueface on child support. Their theories grew darker. Some said she knew Blue wasn't JR's father. Others said she was avoiding paperwork because she didn't want government interference. A few said she believed she didn't need child support because God would provide, and some believed she didn't want to answer questions under oath. But the real shift came when fans started fearing for JR's future. They worried he was being raised inside instability, spiritual confusion, and public chaos. They feared he'd grow up with unrealistic expectations, dangerous pressures, and the weight of being called Jesus before he could walk. Her enemies used this to attack her motherhood. Her supporters used it to defend her calling. But everyone agreed that Junior was caught in the middle of something far beyond his control. And then, just when people thought the saga couldn't get any stranger, the donation scandal resurfaced again. Screenshots of her asking fans for help went viral, and people dragged her for claiming she had 7 figures while requesting support. Some said she lied about her wealth. Others said she was manipulating fans. And a few speculated she needed money for the compound. The conversation shifted completely, from spirituality to financial suspicion. People asked where the money was going, what the land was for, who the property belonged to, and why she needed donations for a compound if she was building it with God's money. The questions piled up like a mountain with no answers. By the end of the week, Chrisean's reputation was unrecognizable. She wasn't just a celebrity. She wasn't just a drama magnet. She wasn't just a fighter, singer, mother, or meme. She became a mystery, a woman drifting between faith and delusion, power and instability, revelation and breakdown. Her compound, her proclamations, her threats, her spiritual language, her newfound calm, her donation requests, her prophetic tone, everything came together in one chaotic storm that left the world wondering, is Chrisean Rock on the verge of a spiritual revolution or the edge of a public disaster? Because one thing is certain, whatever she's building, it's bigger, darker, and stranger than anyone expected. And the consequences? They've only just begun. And there you have it, the saga that took a left turn, then a right turn, then jumped the median, ran over a traffic cone, and flew straight off the highway into a spiritual multiverse. Chrisean Rock didn't just shake the table. She flipped it, baptized it, built a compound on top of it, and declared her toddler the Messiah before the dust even settled. And somehow, the internet is still trying to process all of it without spraining its brain. But before you run to the comments to argue, scream, laugh, or write your own mini documentary, do me one favor. Smash that like button like it owes you money, child support, and emotional damages. Hit it like Blueface hits post on another messy tweet. Hit it like Carlissa hits go live whenever her son gets dragged. And while you're at it, obliterate that subscribe button like you're breaking generational curses. Don't tap it. Don't gently touch it. Destroy it with holy conviction. Because the next scandal, the next meltdown, the next biblical level plot twist, oh honey, it's already brewing. And if you're not subscribed, you're going to hear about it 3 hours late from someone who spells Chrisean wrong. Now drop your thoughts, your theories, your prophecies, your Chrisean needs a therapist, and nap sermons in the comments. Is this a cult forming in real time? Did she really buy land for a compound, or just another storyline? And is Junior really the new Jesus, or is this just Chrisean Rock's season 38 personality arc? This drama isn't ending. It's evolving. And Vibe Crave will be right here. Front row, popcorn ready, catching every wild second. Stay locked in. Stay curious. Stay chaotic. This is Vibe Crave, where the mess never sleeps. Where the mess never sleeps.